right, Jana Eschbach is standing by live at that news conference. Jana?
Yes, we just saw Caitlin, her family, a lot of supporters show up right now. You can see there are quite a few people here tonight. They're going to be speaking in just a moment. Caitlin's family was encouraging people on Facebook to show up to support her with what they called a walk.
I'm going to clip on this guy.
Take away from detractors. So looks like any minute now she'll be stepping up to the microphone, surrounded by her family. And we are hearing some people scream things out of cars driving by that are not supportive. But again, this is a pro-Kate, free Kate movement, and we're about to hear from Kate for the first time.
Jana, have you seen any people like on the other side, any protesters to this news conference there, besides the people driving by?
Well, you know, Sebastian's a pretty small town, and when you're driving around having lunch here or you know, stopping at the gas station, people will approach us. And probably the best statement we heard all day was from a gentleman at the cashier. He said, there are no winners here. And you know, really, no matter how the situation turns out, I felt like that was very accurate. And they are coming up to the podium right now. This is Caitlin Hunt and her attorney.
They're waiting for channel. Caitlin is there with her attorney, still preparing for her news conference, and of course waiting for all of the television stations to be ready. The networks are there as well, so everyone's just standing by, waiting for her to begin.
And you know, it really brings into the picture just, you know, how you know, young Caitlin looks.
Good afternoon.
Here's the attorney's going to start speaking.
It's not my normal practice to make any kind of a statement to the media regarding my cases and my clients, but at this point my practice has been disturbed by all the attention this case has gotten. I'm Julia Graves and I'm Caitlin Hunt's attorney, so we made a decision to make a statement this afternoon just to try to clear the air a little bit. I've written some things down, so I'm going to read it so that I'm very clear about what we're saying here today. I met Caitlin the day she was arrested at the Indian River County Sheriff's Department in the booking department. So I've been here since basically hour one. But she's a very intelligent young woman who, until this ordeal, had a promising future. It was awaiting her. This was supposed to be one of the best times of her life as she graduated from high school in her senior year, where she's an honor student, and she moves on to adulthood. We've all heard the graduation announcements, we've all heard the speeches, and that just hasn't happened for her this year. Adulthood has come way too soon for her, and she now finds herself facing second-degree felony charges that put that future in jeopardy. While not commenting on the charges specifically, or our strategies, or where we are at this point on the specifics as the case is ongoing, we do have a team of lawyers, both local colleagues of mine and also other attorneys throughout the nation who have offered us their help to see what can be done about this case. We've been working with Change.org, Equality Florida, and the ACLU, and they're all attempting to help us on Caitlin's behalf. This case is complex and it's sensitive in nature, and the process has deeply affected the lives of both of these two young women. It's my hope that Caitlin will be able to move forward with her life, and an important dialogue begins in this nation about adolescent relationships and the age of consent, regardless of sexual orientation. The State Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Department, and the parents of the other girl involved are prosecuting her under a law intended to protect children from being preyed on by adults. And although 18 is an adult, we all know that truly seniors in high school are not adults. As the attorney for Caitlin, although there are different statements out there in the media, we have never, ever requested that the charges be completely dropped. We have suggested since the day of her arrest that we're willing to enter a plea to a misdemeanor charge with appropriate punishment that will allow everyone to move on and not dwell on this for their entire lives. Caitlin and her parents have been given until Friday to decide whether to go to trial and have the most intimate details of the relationship played out in public, or to take a plea agreement that includes forever having a record, even if adjudication is withheld. The charges that they've given her of the lesser to be included to are exceptions to the sealing statute. In addition, with the sex offender conditions, Caitlin would be subjected to sitting in group counseling meetings with legitimately convicted sex offenders that the law was truly meant for. It's our position that this is a misapplication of the law that will destroy the lives of 2 high school teenagers while doing nothing to truly serve justice. With the deadline coming up, at this time we hold out hope that common sense will prevail and the damage that's already been done will be mitigated by halting any felony prosecution. We are concerned for the emotional welfare of both of these teenagers under the stress of these avoidable circumstances. Unfortunately, the intimate details are a public record, and this is a humiliation few of us could have endured in our high school years. Caitlin is being prosecuted for engaging in behavior that is both fairly innocuous and extremely common. Such behavior occurs every day in tens of thousands of high schools across the country, yet those students are not facing felony convictions. And in Florida, the lifetime consequences of a felony conviction and potential lifelong branding as sex offenders. This is a life sentence for behavior by teenagers that is all too common, whether they are male or female, gay or straight. High school relationships may be fleeting, but felony convictions are forever. When we put this behind us, we will continue to work and reach out to lawmakers with the assistance of Equality Florida, the ACLU, and many others to address the failings of the law that criminalizes high school students and is too often used by parents who object to the race, ethnicity, or gender of the schoolmate their teenager is dating. Other states like Georgia have changed this to either a misdemeanor or no crime at all on a first offense, just counseling in a class in Wisconsin. We need to be more progressive here in the state of Florida. While effective laws are certainly needed to protect Florida's children from sexual predators, one cannot seriously maintain that Caitlin's behavior was predatory. Application of this law to Caitlin's conduct is an example of the troubling trend in Florida and across the country of criminalizing teenagers. The school-to-prison pipeline is filled with students whose behavior is better addressed by school officials and parents, not the criminal justice system. We do not need to turn teenagers into convicted felons who are prevented from then later contributing meaningfully to society because of unjust convictions. Even if Caitlin is able to avoid the sex offender registration, a felony like this, one being offered of child abuse, will harm her for the rest of her life, damaging her employment prospects and even her right to participate in the community as a citizen and possibly her right to vote. We're just thanking everyone for all the support that they've given to Caitlin, and she's not going to be making any statements to the media at this time until we know if she's taking the plea or the case is over. So I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the Romeo and Juliet line? How this could have potentially helped her if it wasn't being geared, or it's not geared towards one
The Romeo and Juliet law is applied as far as the sentencing goes only. It's not something that can get her out of the case. It is applied where there's a number of years between the parties, and it does fit this situation. But we have to be able to prove, and everyone has to be able to agree, and the judge has to decide that the behavior was consensual and there was no coercement, persuasion, or things that were done that were not voluntary. So, it's Romeo and Juliet, yes. We'd still be able to use it if she was convicted under that statute. We would still be asking for that to apply to the sentencing.
Well, when you first got this case, what was your personal feeling about it? You've been aware of about the case,
This case is unique because I've had other cases with the same general type of circumstances, and we've been able to work through them and get a misdemeanor and work for the best interest of everyone involved. But it just hasn't worked that way in this case, even though we've been trying from the day I found out who was assigned to the case. 4 days later, we started the communication, see if this case could be handled differently, if we could work something out, and that hasn't worked.
Does Caitlin have anything to say? But I think there's a lot of people out there with that.
She's appreciative of the support of her parents. She's not going to say anything in regards to the details of the case.
Can you even without the details of the case?
Do you want to? It's okay if you do make a statement, but not about the case. Yeah.
A little bit closer to the mic, please. Thank you.
She's better not making statements, but thank you. It's a really tough time for her, and I don't think this is something she asked for, to have this much media attention, but when it came to the point where she's still facing felonies, I think her parents had no choice but to try to move forward with something to try to make a difference and try to make a change, because this is their child, and this is her future, and that's why all of you all are here today.
When you talk about her future, I'm curious, is it a very difficult decision to make here because what potentially could happen is something could linger
With the current plea offer to felony child abuse, which is a third-degree felony, which carries a 5-year sentence for each count, if she, for some reason, violated her community control, she could face prison time. But also, the child abuse is one of the exceptions to the Florida sealing statute, so it would always be on her record. Any time anyone ever did any kind of a background check or looked her up, you're going to find that she was charged and pled to felony child abuse. Whether there's a withhold of adjudication or not, it doesn't matter.
And so how does that figure into making?
Well, Caitlin would like to go into the nursing field, and I don't think that anybody's going to hire someone who has a child abuse felony, whether they're adjudicated or not, and it will be there forever. There's no way to get rid of it under the current plea offer.
And so is that pressure to take? What is that?
That's pressure to maybe take our chances and go to trial, and that's a decision that we're going to be making in the next 2 days.
And my other question, and you may have already answered this, I'm sorry. I lied.
That's all right.
There's been a tremendous amount of support online in the community. I'm curious, do you think that has anything to do with, or would this support be there if it was an 18-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl, or an 18-year-old girl and a 14-year-old girl?
I'm not sure if it would be the same amount of support, because I've seen so many of those that don't have to take the felony charge. So I've seen those personally. They get a misdemeanor and they all move on with their lives, or else it never comes to this to begin with under prosecution. I know that there's other cases out there where there have been, gay or, other relationships, but I don't have any specific ones. I'm sure there are some.
Especially the governor's office at all.
We haven't really done anything to pressure anybody. We didn't even start doing anything until we got the final plea offer last Thursday and told that there was no further negotiations and we would be receiving nothing else. We've been extremely quiet from February 16th until last Thursday. And then Caitlin and I have been extremely quiet until today. But I needed to be able to put some statement out there to be able to move on with our normal daily lives.
State Attorney Coleman said that they recently tried a number of cases that were 18-year-old males.
All right, well, we're going to pull back from this right now. If I can get out of the...
You guys say to the families of 18-year-old and 19-year-old.
Well, that took a plea deal on something like that?
All right, we're going to be wrapping up the coverage of this news conference. There, Julia Graves, the attorney for Kate Hunt, talking about a promising future for this honor student in jeopardy right now, and they still have not made a decision whether or not to take that plea deal. The deal